So, I almost got stuck in Texas. So it's Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022. We left for the airport at around 7:15 a.m. It was pretty dark when we started driving there, and we stopped off at a gas station because it was a rental car and we promised to bring it back with a full tank of gas. And then we were back on our way and it started to just be foggy and starting to brighten up. I think it was around a 30-minute drive to get to the airport if my memory serves me, but anyways, when we first got there, we checked in our suitcases, our bags. This is the bag check, customer service area, etc. Lots of check-ins. Here we are at TSA, also known as security. Okay, hold it right there. Just hold everything. So, it's not as dramatic as I made it seem. I'm trying to be dramatic, okay? But the last clip that you saw, my parents and I, we are standing in the TSA line. We're about to go through security. We're about to get checked. My dad had pre-check, which means he did not have to take his shoes off because that is just one of the requirements. If you've never been to an airport, you wouldn't know that. But when it was my turn to go up, so I had the airport app on my phone. So I had my tickets and boarding, what they call a boarding pass. I had it on my phone, but I had deleted the app and it was not signing back in for me when I tried to re-download it and all of that. So the plan was I was going to use my mom's phone because she can access all three of our tickets through that. So she went right ahead of me. Then when it was my turn, she was just going to hand her phone back so I could do it. So she did. And the gentleman working at the booth, he asks to see my ID, so I show it to him, or I give it to him, because, yeah, he can't just show it. He takes it, he scans it, he does all the things. And then he scans the boarding pass, and he goes, we have a problem. Now, I have had a lot of issues. Most of you guys will not understand why, and I'll get to that maybe at a later time for a future video. But most of you guys do not know the whole story of how much of a struggle it was just to get my photo ID, permit, all of that. So when he said we have a problem, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because I obviously got down to Texas, there was no problem. So what could possibly be the issue now that I'm about to go back? And I said, there shouldn't be a problem. And he says, not with your ID, with your boarding pass. And I was like, okay, what is it? So he says, your ID has one date of birth, but your boarding pass has another. So you need to change that. Or he says, because I can't let you through. And at this point, I'm starting to panic because I was just telling my mom when we first arrived at the airport, I'm like, I think I could tackle an airport on my own now. I feel like I have the experience. I've learned how everything works. I could do it. And then he says that. And both my mom and my dad were now through security, and I'm stuck on the other side, and they will not let me through until I get this fixed. And he's like, so you're going to have to go back to this counter and get that changed. And I was like, well, I don't have any idea where I'm going. And I want to call him a big ball of sunshine because I'm trying to be nice. He was not very pleasant. But anyways, so I backtrack. I'm almost in tears at this point because he was so rude. And I know women are more emotional, but I was like, okay, you could have been a little bit nicer. Anyways, enough about that. I get back to the outside, like I'm looking at all these counters, like there's bag check-ins and all that. You'll see a little bit of that in a video that I shared before this. And so there are so many counters to go to, and I don't know where I'm going. So I end up asking the worker there, I'm like, excuse me, could you please tell me where I can go to get this problem fixed? And he's like, oh yeah, you just go right over there and go up to that line. So I did. I stood there for several minutes. Well, the person who was being helped in front of me, she had 2 dogs, something about rabies. I don't even know what all, but it was just taking forever. And the guy working there was working as slow as molasses. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to make our flight. I knew we had some time, but we did not have a lot of time. So, anyways, long story short, there's the guy. We checked in, my mom and I, we checked in our bags, our suitcases, with this very nice young man. And he called me over because he recognized me. And he said, how can I help you? And I told him, and he said, oh, we can get that fixed for you right away. So he did it. 2 minutes later, he is done. He's printed off my boarding pass. I go back to the TSA, the security. I say, hey, here's what happened. They take me to the front of the line. They get me through, and we're on our merry way. But it was definitely an experience that I never anticipated having. It was an adventure, something I don't want to repeat. It wasn't the end of the world. Obviously, it was very fixable, but still, it was a little bit scary knowing that my parents were on one side of security and I was stuck on the other. And yeah, just a whole new thing of panic. But I thought, now that I've experienced this, I feel like I can tackle going to an airport by myself. Got some Caribou coffee, making my way to gate 27. Poor thing, there was a bird stuck in the airport as we were sitting waiting for our first flight, and it was just flying back and forth from window to window across the room. I think, though, in the end, it went the correct direction and somebody let it go free. So here's another view of the airport. We are standing in line waiting to board our first flight home. Our first flight took us from Austin, Texas to Houston, Texas. And there's the ticket taker, or you scan your boarding pass and get on board. Okay, one of the neatest features on this plane was that it had this little built-in TV, and we got to scroll some channels. I'm just showing you guys how it works, so I'm putting on football. I do not like football, but I was just trying to show you guys how the navigation worked. And so you just get to sit back. They give you complimentary headphones and watch television. So people were still boarding at this point. And then I happened to find Andy Griffith, and I was over the moon excited. So I watched that. Mom and Dad didn't do anything with theirs. But old classics, you can't beat it. After Andy Griffith finished, I turned on a Hallmark Christmas movie very briefly because I don't watch too much Hallmark anymore because of the way things are going with them. But I was able to enjoy a little bit of holiday cheer on the second day of November. After our first flight landed, we were making our way to the next gate, which was a considerable distance, and because of that, Mom and Dad got tired, and we ended up taking what's called a moving walkway. It's like this little thing that you ride in. There's a driver. They beep at the people in front of you to move aside, and we were able to get there a lot quicker than we would have if we were walking ourselves. So that was really nice. We then took the escalator, which thrilled me because I love escalators, and then took the train to reach our final destination, the gate. And then we waited there, grabbed a quick lunch, and then boarded our second flight. I grabbed a Brasilia blueberry bai drink and a turkey and cheddar wrap to eat before we boarded. And then here's where we stood in line to enter through the store here at gate B87. I never had a window seat on any of our flights, so the only reason you are seeing the planes from this angle right now is because I have my selfie stick across my mom, and she's letting me take footage for you guys. But here we are getting in position to leave the runway. You can see the other planes there, and we're about to take off. Raw moment here as I'm dealing with the ear pressure pain that some people get as the plane is descending and you're getting ready to land. It wasn't as bad as the second flight going to Texas, but the second flight coming home from Houston to Cleveland was rough. Our second flight was from Houston, Texas to Cleveland, Ohio, and here I am stepping off the plane. We made it safely, headed to baggage claim to get our suitcases. They come on this large conveyor belt and you pick out what's yours. Has your name on the tags, which is what I'm looking at right here. And yep, now it's time to go to our car. In my first video, you may recall that we dropped off our car and took the shuttle to the airport. Now we're doing the opposite. Now that we're back home, we're taking the shuttle from the airport going back to our car. Whoa, look at all these cars. There are so many. We were all so tired and ready to be home, so instead of going out to a restaurant and waiting for our food, we decided to order ahead and get Chipotle and bring it home. And just like that, we made it home, and we are so happy to be back with our cats.